Good morning, this is Pat Domingue. I'm founder of On Fire Ministries, Bible study author, teacher, and spiritual disciplines coach. Now, last week, I stepped into the arena of biblical marriage for my ministry emphasis for the week. But as of right now, with the feedback that I've been getting, I'm going to stay there for at least a couple of more weeks. Now, if you aren't married, I assure you that many of the relationship skills and principles that I will share will apply across the spectrum of relationships. So take the heart of the message and apply it to your most treasured relationships. And I believe that you will see those relationships strengthened as well. Now, since this is the week of Thanksgiving, I definitely wanted to address the element of gratitude in our relationships. Also, I wanted to combine that with the topic of respect. I truly believe that it's quite fitting to bring these two together, especially in light of impacting our marriages and our relationships, because I believe that gratitude and respect are ultimately interwoven, because gratefulness motivates respect and respect motivates gratitude. Now, respect defined means a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something elicited by their qualities, their abilities, their achievements, or it can also mean a due regard for feelings, wishes, rights, or traditions of others. Now, the very nature of that definition makes one think that a natural response to respect would be gratitude. So learning how to love our husbands through gratitude and respect isn't always easy. But for us to have a healthy relationship, showing our husbands gratitude and respect is necessary. So one reason it isn't always easy is because we are uniquely wired to think and to view life from a completely different perspective based on the fact that men are men and women are female. Men are male and women are female. So there's so much more to our differences than our outward appearance and our unique designs and roles in the reproductive process. And that difference gets stronger the deeper inward that we look. So let's talk about some ways, some helpful steps to learning how to love our husbands through gratitude and respect. The very first step is to understand that God created our husbands to be different. Now, it took me a very long time to understand and to settle down with the understanding that my husband is very different than me. And that is exactly how God wired him. God did not want him to think like me or act like me. There's already one me in the relationship, and that's not my husband. However, as much as God uniquely created each of us, our marriage united us together on a journey of becoming one. Now, becoming one doesn't mean that we get married and we are immediately this inseparable, inseparable unit. Marriage is only the beginning of a lifetime process of becoming one. So in the process of time, work, and each one changing within, a husband and wife more and more become one. So the sooner we come to grips with our husband's God-given, God-designed uniqueness, the easier it is for us to see the value of the man we chose to spend the rest of our life with. Now, number two, we've got to understand that God created our husband to need our encouragement. Now, God created us to be our husband's helper. We see that in Genesis 2:20 through 23. But this isn't a downgrade in the quality of person that we are as women. We are equally as valuable as our husband. In fact, we complete them. However, Women are not always known for encouraging and building their husbands up, but that is exactly what a biblical wife is called to do. Our husbands need our admiration and our affirmation. And so one way we support them is by speaking words that build them up rather than tear them down. So Proverbs 14:1 is the scripture that says the wise woman builds her house, but the foolish one tears it down with her hands. So we have the power to affect our husbands and our families positively or negatively. And the reality is that we do affect our husbands and our families one way or the other. So the question is, how do we make sure that we build those we love up, specifically our husbands? And the answer to that question is we decide to. Encouraging our husbands begins with a decision to follow the Proverbs 31 woman's precedent that is set for us in Proverbs 31:26 that says, she opens her mouth with wisdom, and on her tongue is the law of kindness. Loving through encouragement comes from our words being ruled by the law of kindness. When we speak as encouragers, our words make all the difference in building happy, healthy husbands and homes. And isn't that what we all want anyway? Now, number 3, understand that our greatest difference is a focus problem. So if you struggle with loving your husband through gratitude and respect, it often points to the presence of a real spiritual enemy at work to sidetrack you and your marriage. As I wrote in my last week's message, Biblical Marriage, Loving Our Husbands and Lessons I Learned Along the Way, our husband is not our enemy, but we do have an enemy, and he attacks our marriages the same way that he attacked mankind's relationship with God in the very beginning. Remember Genesis 3 and how the serpent got Adam and Eve focused on the one thing in the garden that God had told them that they were not to eat? God had set man in the midst of a perfect and beautiful garden of provision. He spread his holy arms wide and he said, Genesis 2:16 through 17, of every tree of the garden, you may freely eat. But of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you shall not eat, for in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die. So what happens next is one day Satan, the serpent, takes them on a stroll, and he stops them right in front of the one thing that they could not have. The enemy's methodology is to take us to the one thing, the one issue, the one problem, and get us focused on that. When we focus our attention on the one thing in our marriage or in our spouse that seems to be a problem, the enemy succeeded in getting our eyes off God's abundant blessing. So getting our eyes off God's blessing and on a problem sets us up for the fall. The serpent knew if he got Adam and Eve unhappy and unsatisfied, he accomplished his plan to steal, to kill, and destroy. And that happened in the fall. And the same thing happens in our marriage. So let's talk about when loving our husbands through gratitude and respect is hard. You know, I realize that each marriage has its own set of issues and obstacles to overcome. And I know that sometimes a problem has been there for so long that our perspective is at best clouded. However, changing our focus is key to changing our relationship. My oldest daughter is a counselor and a licensed marriage and family therapist. And she always says that there is a systems theory that says when one person in a relationship changes, that the other person cannot remain the same. In other words, when I make changes in myself and in my behavior, it inevitably and eventually causes my husband to make changes as well. So I believe the key to changing a problem in a relationship is changing our focus to an area of gratitude or respect. So with that, I want to give you practical steps to help you focus on gratitude and respect for your husband. And the first step is to keep a husband gratitude and respect journal. That can be any old thing that you want it to be. It can be a little notebook, or you have a cute little journal that's just for your husband's respect and gratitude that you're going to make note of. Number 2, every day, set aside 2 to 3 minutes to make note of reasons for gratitude and respect for your husband in that journal. Number 3, when you're doing that, ask yourself these questions. What am I grateful for about my husband or my loved one? What about him do I admire and respect? And listen, maybe you're in a season that just is hard. So even if you need to go back to happier times in your relationship, there is always some quality or trait worthy of gratitude and respect. Number 4 is choose one thing out of your journal every day to tell your husband how thankful you are for him or how much you admire him because of that. If you haven't been very verbal about things like this in the past, I will tell you that it might feel a bit awkward. And honestly, he may feel a bit skeptical at first. However, what I assure you is that if you practice this daily, it will make a positive impact. So I want to just encourage you, try this for 1 month and see if it doesn't make a difference in you, your husband, and your marriage. And I would love to hear how this practical steps have played out and how they being practiced have worked for you. So send me an email and let me know. Now, before I say goodbye, I want to invite you to join me on my ministry Facebook page to get daily morning prayers of biblical encouragement for women. And don't forget to watch my On Fire Ministries Bible study devotion via Facebook Live, what you're watching right now, every Tuesday morning at 8:30 a.m. Central. And then please share this Bible study devotion with others that someone else may be encouraged. And until we meet again, have a blessed and beautiful day.